Today I have 10, count them, 10 questions to answer from YotaStyle. What could she possibly be asking me? We're gonna find out. I also have 10 questions to ask her, and I will have her video linked below. So go check that out after you've watched mine. Now stay tuned. Hi YouTube, Autumn Beckman here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My channel is all about luxury living on a budget, from high-end luxury handbags and small goods to the everyday luxuries of life. If that sounds interesting to you, please make sure you subscribe, click the bell notification icon to be notified when I post new videos, and be sure to like the videos that you enjoy. And one of the perks of subscribing to my channel is you get to see my community posts on your YouTube homepage, where I post deals, discount codes, sales, and rare finds related to these beautiful things we love. So YotaStyle, her channel and her video will be linked below. She's one of my very best YouTube friends, and she recently visited me in person. She flew all the way from Alabama to Houston, and we had planned to do this together right here in my studio. The questions for me would be on my channel, the questions for her would be on hers, similar to what we're doing now, but I kept her so busy we never had time to sit down and do a video. There were a lot of things we had planned that we didn't have time to do. So we decided to go ahead and take the questions we'd prepared, send them to each other, and just do a collaboration. I'm in my office, she is in hers, or wherever she's filming, who knows. She could be on the toilet, knowing her. So let's get started. She sent me 10 questions, and I'll just go through them in the order that she sent them. Question 1 is about a dream vacation. Where would you go for a dream vacation, somewhere you've never been? How long would you go? What would you want to do? And what kinds of souvenirs would you want to buy to remind you of the dream vacation? So we've already had our big dream vacation, which was 5 weeks in Italy. That was a few years ago over the summer, and it was incredible. We have been talking about doing another dream vacation, but I don't know when we'll be able to do it due to ongoing COVID restrictions with travel. I also don't know the logistics of how it would work, because here's what it is. This would be a European tour. We would want to go back to Italy, but we would also want to go to Greece and to Germany and France, possibly Spain, and we'd want to end everything off in England visiting Genie of Styled by Genie. She doesn't know that yet, so surprise, Genie. We had talked about doing it this coming summer, but that's not going to happen. Possibly next year, who knows. But I just don't know the logistics of how that works. We'd want to have cars to be able to drive around. How do you get back and forth with all these countries and have the right luggage and do the laundry and have the cars and just all the things? It would take a lot of work to figure that out. I know people do it, but like, we're not backpackers. I don't want to be carrying around a giant backpack or rolling my luggage everywhere. I don't know. I think we'll go overseas again. It probably won't be that big of a trip. We'll probably just hit 1 or 2 places instead of all of those, but we'll see. As far as souvenirs, there are a couple things I like to get when I go on vacation. One, if I'm going somewhere, now I guess I've never done this before except in New York. I did this in New York. If I'm going somewhere that has luxury shopping, it's always nice to get a nice luxury handbag, isn't it? So there's that, and that's something I would probably want to do in Paris. 2, I like to see what kinds of local crafts there are and pick up things related to that. And 3, relatedly, I like to find artwork, original artwork, small pieces that can be transported back home, whether that's on a local trip or an international trip. If I can find something like that that I like, that's reasonably priced, small enough, that's something I like to collect. Question number 2, what is your proudest achievement? And give me some details. This one is tough to answer because I have a lot of things that I consider big achievements, and I don't say that to sound like I'm so great. I say it more because, coming from where I come from, just about anything is a big achievement. Things that are normal for a lot of families are exceptional for my family, like graduating high school and going to college. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is getting as far as I did in school. I was in a PhD program. Is that my proudest achievement, though? My YouTube channel is another one of those. I am very proud of all the work that I've done on here, and I still really enjoy doing it. If I really get down to the heart of it, though, probably my most proud achievement personally would be my animals. Having animals, taking care of them, especially my rescue dogs, because they came from situations that weren't great, and I've been able to give them a much better life than what they had before. Not just the dogs I have now, but dogs we've had previous to them too. For example, we had a Doberman who we adopted from the SPCA, and for a long time he would not go through doorways. I don't know why. It's just something about that. Just by creating a calm, loving environment with positive reinforcement, within a few months he was so much better. He was a much happier dog, much more comfortable. He felt a lot safer, and I'm proud of that. Question 3, what was your scariest experience ever? She got some good questions here because these are difficult for me to answer. I can't really point to one thing. I mean, I'm trying to think of life or death kind of situations, things where I felt my life was threatened or potentially threatened. You know, I could say something like being on an empty subway platform in New York City at 2 in the morning. That's kind of scary. Lots of things could happen and no one would know. But when I lived in New York, even though I was by myself and didn't really know anybody, I just never really felt like I was in danger, even in situations like that. And I was always careful. I'd say maybe one situation where I really could have died and it would have been all my fault was after Hurricane Harvey. I went out into the flooding. It was about a foot or foot and a half deep where I went. Not very deep, but I went out to get photographs, and the water, the force of the water was so powerful that it was very difficult to stay standing. And I got myself in a situation where there was nothing around me to hold on to for a bit there. Fortunately, I made it back to where I could hold on to something and get back home. That was a really, really stupid thing to do. Don't ever go out in floodwaters, especially when there's a current. Bad idea. Question 4, what was the funniest experience you've ever had? And share the details. Okay, we were actually telling Yota and Keith about this when they were here. This is a story from our Italy trip, and it wasn't so funny at the time, but now it's pretty funny. Isn't that how those stories go? Having lived in New York, I was used to the subways being open all night. So we were in Florence. When we went to Italy, we rented a house in Tuscany and we did these day trips. So we were on a day trip to Florence and we had dinner, and Italian dinners last hours and hours. And we were in the piazza where the Duomo is, and by the time dinner was over, it was dark. We were walking around the Duomo. It was maybe 11 o'clock at night or so. We're looking at how beautiful and awesome it is. And finally we decide, you know, it's time to head back to the train and get back to the house. And you know where this is going because I mentioned the subways. The train station was closed. We tried to, like you see people do, just sit in the train station or sleep there overnight, but they kicked us out because the train station was closed. In Italy, it's not so easy to find a hotel like it is in the States, where you can just drive down and find a Holiday Inn or something and there's someone at the desk 24 hours. Not the same there. We didn't know of a place to go, so across the street from the train station there was a 24-hour McDonald's, and we went there and sat there all night until the train station reopened. Not pleasant, but at least there was sustenance. Paul fell asleep, but one of us had to stay awake all night to watch the equipment because we had our cameras and everything with us. So yeah, I stayed up all night in a McDonald's across the street from the Florence train station, all because we thought it would be okay to stay out till 11 o'clock, that very, very late hour. It's still baffling to me that the trains don't run later than that there. With all the tourism and everything, I think that's nuts. But there were a lot of things in Italy that I thought were a little nuts. Just because I'm not used to them, things are different here. Question 5. What are your 3 most loved foods and your 3 least liked foods? Least liked: mushrooms. 2, beer. 3, wait, do drinks count or does this have to be food? 3, I was gonna say Scotch whiskey, as we learned during Vlogmas. What other foods do I not like? Oh, I know. Licorice flavored things like fennel and fresh spinach. I don't like fresh spinach. I like it cooked okay, but I don't like it fresh for some reason. My 3 most loved foods: as far as drinks, sparkling water, wine of course, but as far as actual food, this is difficult. Fresh sweet blackberries, that's one. It's hard to find those good ones anymore. Perfect French fries, that's different for different people. I like, hate to say this, but more like the McDonald's style or the Whataburger style, the thin fries, when they're done perfectly, when they're nice and crispy outside and hot and no heat lamps, but like fresh out of the oil. Yes. I love little things that I can just snack on like that. And along those lines, maybe charcuterie. Cheese and crackers, salami, little honey. I don't know that those are really my 3 favorite foods, but that's what I came up with in the moment. Question 6. You find a magic bottle, you open it, and out pops a genie. What would your 3 wishes be? Number 1, easy. No animal ever suffers again. They all have wonderful lives, and they all have homes, those that need homes. Number 2, as much money as I would ever want, not need, but want, to buy whatever things I wanted for myself or anyone else. Number 3, no more ignorance in the world. And I mean that in so many different ways. No more ignorance. Everyone is educated, everyone is tolerated, not just tolerated, I hate that word. Everyone is accepted without question. Like there's not even a need to accept anyone because everyone just is accepted. It's not even questioned. It would be a much better place, would it not? Number 7, name 3 of your favorite YouTubers, besides the obvious being me, that would be Yota. Eye roll. And tell us about their content and why you watch and enjoy them. Okay, I'm gonna do 1 luxury YouTuber and I'll do 2 non-luxury YouTubers. The luxury YouTuber I'll mention is someone I haven't mentioned that often. I've mentioned her a few times lately. Her channel is Lumi Level Up. Her name is Mary. I will link her channel below. I love her content. It's related to mine. It's about luxury on a budget. Her tagline is that she's on an average income and she's trying to be more mindful with her money. And I think she does a fabulous job of incorporating that theme into her channel and also of giving you information about the items she's talking about. The other two YouTubers that are not luxury YouTubers are people I've mentioned before. There's Scormy and Grubbs. They are a couple in their 20s. He has a form of muscular dystrophy. He's in a wheelchair. They are married and they mostly do vlogs, and they are very funny and entertaining to watch. And they're really sweet and nice and a great example of a healthy relationship. And number 3, Nikki Positano. Her name is Nikki. She's from England, but she lives in Positano, Italy. She's married to an Italian man who's from Positano. They live on the mountains there. It's such a different way of life, and Positano is so beautiful. It's very interesting and entertaining to watch her channel. And educational. You learn a lot. Question number 8. What are your top 3 favorite musical artists? Do certain bands or songs remind you of significant or special times in your life? Top 3 favorite musical artists: the Beatles, and then the Beatles, and then the Beatles. It's easy to come up with the Beatles. Coming up with 2 more, I'm not sure. Classic rock is what I've always listened to, and there aren't really other bands that stand out so much. Ella Fitzgerald, not classic rock, classic jazz standards. Love her voice. Billie Holiday as well. They sort of go hand in hand to me. Who would be a third? The Eagles. There you go. That's easy. I wish they had more music than they have, a bigger repertoire. Oh, Lady Gaga. What am I thinking? I can't not include her. Sorry, that's 4, but she has to be in there. I'd scratch the Eagles for Lady Gaga. And as far as music reminding me of significant or special times, it does, of course. There are too many examples to name. Question 9. I love this question. Of all the luxury fashion houses, which ones are you least interested in and why? And she doesn't give me a number here, so I'll just come up with a couple. Prada. I do love some of their nylon pieces, like the pouch that I have and like the reissue thing, whatever that's called, the re-edition. But there's not much else I like from them. I'm also not a fan of Saffiano leather. For some reason, to me, it looks cheap. I think because it loses its shape and gets dented and stuff, and because I've seen so many cheap bags made out of it. Maybe Celine. There's not much from them that interests me. I'm picturing Neiman Marcus and all the different brands, and I'm trying to think of which ones I don't like. Those are the ones that come to my mind. Just those 2. There's not much from Chloe that's ever interested me either. And final question, although there is a bonus question. Question number 10. If you could choose a new name for yourself, what would it be? Or do you want to keep the name you were given? When I was a kid, I did not like my name. I wanted something more generic like Jennifer. That was really popular when I was a kid. Now I love my name, so I wouldn't change it, but if I had to, it's funny, I've always had people call me Amber or Heather. Somehow they get that confused with Autumn. And of those 2, I prefer Heather. I think that would be a nice name. And Yota's bonus question, not surprisingly, is why are you so weird? And the only way I can answer that is with the famous words of Lady Gaga. I was born that way. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Yota, for the questions. Remember, I have questions for Yota, and her video will be linked below, so please go check that out. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.